Hey guys, Swapnil here. Today we're talking about the iPhone 10. Now I know the iPhone 10 is not a new phone, it's been out for a couple months now, and there are a lot of reviews about it. But today I'm going to be talking about my personal likes and dislikes after using this phone as my daily driver for about 3 months. Today's video is going to be cut up into two parts. One talking about my top 3 likes about the iPhone 10, and the second, my top 3 dislikes. So to get rolling with the likes, my number 1 favorite thing about the iPhone 10 is definitely that design. Now for the past couple generations, from the iPhone 6 to the iPhone 8, honestly they've pretty much looked the exact same. There have been some minute changes, but Apple hasn't really revolutionized the design language for quite a while. The iPhone 10 totally changed that up. It brought bezel-less features to the iPhone for the first time. The iPhone 10 is the first iPhone in Apple's history to drop the home button. And in doing so, it's gotten rid of those chin and forehead bezels that everyone had come to hate over the years. That's right, Apple now stands a chance against competitors like Samsung and LG in making beautifully crafted devices with little to no bezels. My second favorite thing about the iPhone 10 is that camera. Now, I know the camera is the same camera that's also present in the iPhone 8 Plus. But that is in no way a bad thing. This is still a great camera, and I actually love the pictures that come out with it. Now, these are in no way comparable to the Pixel. I feel like the Pixel's a much better shooter. But honestly, compared to other phones, the iPhone 10 doesn't do that bad. Here's some test shots that I gathered of the iPhone 10. As you can see in these pictures, the iPhone 10 camera has great colors. Generally, the pictures are well exposed and has overall good quality. Even in low light conditions, the pictures don't get too grainy. And I honestly don't mind them. You know, portrait mode's still a work in progress, and I think it's really cool how they're kind of developed the depth of field photography and get that kind of stuff out there. I think it's super cool. I think they're the best at it right now. But I still think there's a lot of things that can be improved about it. It can be a little glitchy sometimes, so looking forward to see what they do with that in the future. And my third favorite thing about the iPhone 10 is definitely the software enhancements. Now, I know what you're thinking, iOS is the same, right? iOS on the iPhone 8 Plus and the iOS on the iPhone 10 has to be the same. But that's not true. There are subtle differences between the two iOSs that at first thought might trip you up. But honestly, when you start using the iPhone 10 regularly, feel amazing. One of the biggest things is definitely that home button. Due to the lack of physical home button, Apple has added a sort of touch bar at the bottom that you swipe up with. Now, they got a lot of hate for that online, but I honestly feel like if you keep using the iPhone 10, you get used to it. I mean, I don't even notice it now. Same thing with the notch. They got a lot of hate for that, but nowadays people don't even notice it. I haven't really thought about my notch in quite a while. There are some other differences as well. In order to accommodate from the swipe up from the bottom, the control center has been moved. Also, I think my downright favorite gesture on the iPhone 10 is swiping right and left using the home button. Now, this is incredibly useful and so great. Multitasking has never been this smooth on any phone for me, and I feel like it's so nice to see how easily you can go from one app to another and, you know, continue working on whatever it is you're working on. Alright, now to my dislikes. Now, if you're a full-hearted iPhone fanboy, stop watching right here. I'm gonna get pretty critical here. I don't want you guys to get, you know, too roasted in the process, but I'm gonna give you guys my dislikes on the iPhone 10, and this is strictly from a reviewer point of view. I know that there's a lot of people who feel like the iPhone 10 is the perfect phone, and I personally don't feel that way. I feel like there's a lot of things that could be changed. So my dislikes, number 1. Why is there no fingerprint scanner? Now, I know this has been talked about for quite a while. Apple saying Face ID is so much better. Face ID is great, I like it, it works pretty well, but I have to say that there are times when I wish that the back of the phone or the side of the phone had a fingerprint scanner. And that wouldn't have been hard to do. Honestly, it would have been super cool if the Apple logo itself was a fingerprint scanner. I think that would have been super clean, super nice, and they could have kept Face ID and still made it great. My dislike number 2 is the multitasking. Now, I know I talked about multitasking by swiping right and left in the previous like section, but this is different. This is like the generic swipe up, hold multitasking, like the previously double tap home button multitasking. Now, this has some pretty weird thought process behind it. If you swipe up, the app doesn't actually close. So if you go back into it, it's still there. You have to hold it and then delete it. And that seems like way too much work. I know it seems like a total like hashtag first world problem kind of stuff, but like honestly, that just seems like way too much work to close an app. I feel like it should be so much easier just to get rid of the apps you don't want open. And I mean, if you accidentally close an extra app, like just open it again. Or honestly, the other iPhones don't have that problem. So I mean, it's the same kind of like logic. Like, couldn't you also make the same mistake on a regular iPhone? But I guess Apple just want to throw that in there. And personally, I do not like that at all. I hate having to open multitasking, hold down on the app, wait for that red dot to appear, and then delete it, and then get out of it. That just really, really annoys me, but that's just a personal thing. Now, my third dislike on the iPhone X is battery life. Now, I know it's a generic thing to talk about, but battery life is a pretty huge deal for most users. Now, for me personally, the iPhone X with moderate use got me through the day, but there were times where I was using it more intensively, doing more stuff on it, and it wouldn't make it through the entire day. Now, being a student myself, that's pretty important to have your phone on you, have it working, and the amount of work that I do on my phone, being a student, it becomes pretty useful to be able to have your phone at all times. Now, I know all things considered, asking for more battery life is a hard thing to do, but I personally feel like that's one of the things that I would have wanted in an iPhone X. My perfect iPhone X would fix all of those dislikes, and especially fix the battery life. I feel like that's like a huge thing I need fixed. I want like perfect battery life, and I haven't gotten that. Honestly, in a phone in a while. The Droids used to have great battery life, but they kind of went off the rails. But yeah, overall the iPhone X is a great phone. Honestly, I know I talked about some dislikes and they were kind of nitpicky, but at the end of the day, I loved using the iPhone X. There were some things we didn't cover today, like the great display or the continued lack of headphone jack. But honestly, with all things factored in, I think considering the top 3 likes and dislikes, puts the iPhone X at a very good place in the smartphone market. If you're looking for a brand new iPhone and you want to go with the newest thing, the best thing, and I guess the coolest thing, the iPhone X is definitely the way to go.